welcome back to the Jane Austen 250th Anniversary Block of the Month Sew-Along. I'm Cindy Cloward, and today we are working on the Bath block. But if you want to be posh, English posh, it's pronounced Bath. But before we get started, a shout out to our Winchester block that we worked on last month. All my blocks are finished. I hope yours are well on their way to be finished. If not, keep going. Again, it's not a race. We're just going to do one block a month times 4. And that's what the Bath block is. This month, we've got 4 of the same blocks, but in different colors. Let's take a look. This is block number 1. This is block number 2. Love the color variation. This is block number 3. And that is block number 4. Before we get started, let's talk a little bit about Bath. Jane Austen lived in Bath from 1801 to 1806, and it significantly influenced her writing despite her ambivalent feelings about the city. While she didn't produce a great deal of writing during her time there, Bath served as a setting for 2 of her novels, Northanger Abbey and Persuasion, and provided inspiration for her depictions of social life and manners. I love the city of Bath, and I'm really excited to work on this block with you. So let's take a look at the pattern. I'm going to put my glasses on. In the pattern, it is pages 20, 21, and 22. So to get started, you need 3 Sew Simple shapes, V14, V11, and V9. Just 3 shapes. They look very familiar. So let's get started on these Sew Simple shapes. Again, it tells you the fabrics, the pattern. We're going to be working on this block right here. I'm going to do it again. I've already finished one of these blocks. So you're going to trace the shape and the sew interfacing. And again, this is a good opportunity to fussy cut this on the design. There's lots of florals in this print, this Cassandra print, and you can shift it around to see where you like it the best and set it there, and that's good to go. This one is like a little egg with a point on top, so make sure you get that point. We've made this shape before. I've already sewn it on. I'm going to trim it down to like a 1/4 inch. Just a reminder to cut off your tips. Make it flat, because if you don't, you're going to have a lot of bulk there, and it's going to be a little harder to get that point. So we're going to trim that down. You do not have to cut on your curves, on your outward curves. So we just take this, I'm going to do it. Make a little clip here. We're just going to cut down the center. Now just a reminder, I kind of stick my middle finger in there like that. Pull it out. This is just a little refresher. And sometimes you have to pull down that point. Trim it down just a little. Flip it inside out. I'm doing these one at a time. Okay, you're going to have to be really gentle, or you could just pop through that interfacing really easily. So I'm going to get this a little warm by pressing it, heat up my threads. And work on that point. Just work on it. Try not to pop through your fabric. In fact, you probably want to go on this side of your interfacing, like that. Do you see that? So you're working more on the inside of the seam, so you're not popping through. And that creates a nice little point. And we're going to work on our curve. Just a little reminder how that's done. And then we just kind of roll those edges in. If you want to give it another press, you can do that. But there is our leaf print. Okay, we've made these tulips before. So we're just going to trim around there. And I go down to my cleavage there. Cutting off my tips on the top. Do not get too close to your threads. That's a little close. Now we're going to pull our interfacing away. And do you remember this? We did a little V. Little cut. I think I'm going to use my stork scissors. Okay. Use that middle finger, flip it inside out. Oh wait, I forgot to cut my curves. So the inside curves, you do have to trim down. On your inside, you have to clip towards that so you can turn that curve. But the outside, you don't have to do that. Now what you want to see is you want to see the points on the top of the tulip. So see right here, nice point. So there's a nice point, that's a nice point. Even the top of the tulip is a nice point. Then you have a nice curve around there. So if you don't poke it out, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a little rounded curve. And if you like a rounded curve, great. But I want a nice point there. So I've got a nice point on that side. On this side, again, I'm going inside towards me on the interfacing, not on the fabric side, because you can so easily poke out on that. And do you see how I'm just working that? I just work the fabric there, work the fabric there, and it comes to a nice point. Now I'm just going to turn back here. And you can even use this side, if you've got this turning tool, to really get that circle, bottom circle. Okay, that just takes a little bit longer to get it where you want it to be, but take your time because it's worth working out on those angles before you go to applique. So I did want to highlight, like, none of these fabrics you have to truly fussy cut, but I think it's important for all these stripes to go in the same direction. So I did want to highlight when you're cutting out, just pay attention that they're all going the same direction. And then if you want the flower facing up, it is a little bit directional. So you want the point right here facing up so they're consistent. And again, if you wanted them, the stripe exactly how each of them look from one to another, you can fussy cut that because you can fussy sew it, I guess, because it's already been cut. So you can see through the interfacing there and you can adjust it. But I'm not going to be that particular. So take a look at the center of these tulips. These are all kind of fussy cut, fussy sewn. So they're consistent. That stripe is consistently in the right spot when you go around in the circle. So you can do the same thing here. Like we've sewn the other, you can just like line that up and go, okay, you're gonna eyeball it. There you go. So you can adjust it like that. And then just pay attention. So the top of this V9 has a point and the bottom is a little more round. So you want the point up here so the flowers are facing the same way. So just pay attention to that if it matters to you. If it doesn't matter to you, you can just sew it on this unit however you want. You can sew the interface on the fabric however you want. So let's go sew this and then we'll turn it inside out. And then we're just going to overstitch where we started. No back stitching, just overstitch. Okay, let's just trim this down. You can cut a little closer to your threads on that tip part. Okay, let's make our little X in the middle. You're going to become a pro at this method. Okay, again, I take my middle finger, turn it inside out on the curved part. Let's work all the angles. All right. That is ready to go. Okay, we'll just clean up our workstation here. And now we're ready to lay out our shapes. I'm going to put these over here. Again, you know the drill. Let's press this. It's our 10-inch square. You would get a spritz. Okay, let's open this up and start laying things out. We've already previously made our bias tape 4 inches long, and we're going to start putting it down. And you can begin gluing now, because I feel like we have a cross in the middle right here with these stems. So that's going to be our center. Sometimes I just like to put the glue on the teeny little dots onto the bias tape, and then we can see that middle fold there. I'm going to just hold that for a minute. The teeniest dots of glue. And you can put that fold there. Kind of just hold it down for a minute. All right. You can lay these out, and the center of the curve goes right along there with the point. It's like, the point is like kissing that X in the center. So you just kind of put it in there. We've got our tulips. And I don't pull the tulip all the way down there. I put it up just a little like that. So you've got, and that's about 2 1/4 in the center there. So I'm going to put there like that. From this bottom to this bottom is about 2 1/4. So I'm just going to lay these out like this. You could glue those on. Okay, you can use your applique pins if you want to, but this is where I suggest about 2 1/4. So you just want it centered. And then you want that 2 1/4 centered, and then you just make sure you've got equal space between these two. There's just a little bit of wiggle room. And then once you've got that all how you want it, then you're going to glue each of the parts. I'm going to put this on top. Just take a look and make sure everything's consistent. I'm going to pretend this is really good, but it's not quite there. But what you want to see is the tip of your tulip in the center here. It's right on here. So you want the tip, you would have to adjust that tulip. So I haven't glued that down yet. So you want that center, you would want the spacing the same on that side, the same on this side, and this is a really good tool to adjust. And if you've just glued everything down barely, you can just lift it up and put it, move it around while that glue is still wet till you get it just right. And then again, I love the big clapper. Put it on top, let it dry a couple hours or overnight, and you're ready to start stitching. Okay, we'll move that over here. And then since I've already got this sewn, let me work on this second block. So I always start in the center, and so you get your matching green thread, and I would start right here, go up and over, down and over, go to the side, back down to the center, go to this side, over, and back to the center, and knot off in the back. And your center stem is finished. Again, taking little tiny stitches. I would probably switch out my color. You could get away with this green, but I would probably use a lighter color and do these leaves, because they seem to be bugging me the most, that they're sticking out the most. So I'd probably do my leaves next to make sure that they are centered on those corners. And then I would work on my tulips. Now this tulip has the same color, so you could get away with doing this tulip all in a pink thread. This tulip right here, I hand appliqued it with a light blue thread, and I started in the center here and went around here, knotted off on the back right there, and then I switched my thread to a deep rose color and just went from here to here, and that was complete. This tulip, since it's kind of the same color, you could get away with one thread sewing continuously, so you have to have a long enough thread, but this is how I do it consistently. So I would start here, and you're going to sew all the way around here, and then back up here, and then you're going to pivot and sew, finish off here. So I'm just going to get started. And again, this is a good, we have done this before. We've talked about this before in the Austen block. We did a lot of those pretty tulips. And this is a really interesting, pretty shape. And now we have it in the Bath block. And so it's kind of fun to see it repeated in a different block. Okay, I'm going to sew around the outside of this. Again, it has some white space, but I'm keeping my stitching in the pink little dots there around here. And I'm going to meet you back here when I'm almost finished. I'm going to sew all the way around here, and I'll meet you back here when I go to that edge. And then I'm going to just flip my work and just sew from this direction. Okay, I finish off by just popping in that corner right there. And then I'm just going to knot off from the back. I usually make 2 knots. Oh, why not 3? There we go. Put my threads. Okay, you're just going to continue around till everything is appliqued, and then you're going to meet me next time for our next quilt block. I really love the Bath block, but you're gonna love the Berkshire block. And I'm told it's pronounced Berkshire. So whether you say Berkshire or Berkshire, join me next time for this quilt block. This one's a beauty. This one's a new block. Some looks a little familiar, but this is kind of a new layout. So join me next time for the Jane Austen Sew Along series as we work on the Berkshire block.